All about the time though. Grizzly once again with the massive flank comes out with a double kill from above. How has it happened again? These flank cams not doing the hard yards for M&M, and they get punished once again by not even two, but one player coming up behind them.
My name is Dezachu Holt. I am a shoutcaster in esports and have been for the last 6.5 years. Gaming started at a really young age. I remember living back in a flat with my parents when I was like, God, 7 or 8, and my dad was really into Nintendo, PlayStation, for example. He used to beat me a lot on FIFA. It was never a fun time. Played a lot of games like Banjo-Kazooie back in the day, Command & Conquer. And then things have just kind of developed from there. Really an interest in technology and computers has got me to where I am today. And esports really kind of kicked off when I started working in the games industry as a games developer, actually. I'd sit there at work with 2 screens. You'd only need one to actually do the coding work on. So the other one would have like StarCraft 2 esports on a good like 8 or 9 years ago. So that was a really fun way to kind of get into it. And from there, it just built up through university, through then watching events, for example. And here we are today. Health-wise for gaming, I think everyone has been through those moments where they get very stressed or a little bit angsty. Like a great example is me yesterday. I was 3 points off getting to a rank I've been trying to get to all season in Siege. And naturally, everything that goes wrong, you're just like, why has that happened? Which can make you feel a little bit stressed. You come off feeling a little bit pent up and heated or whatever. That's kind of one side of it. In terms of actual mental health itself, outside of the kind of immediate reaction, it hasn't had a huge impact on me. Esports probably more so than gaming itself. And maybe that's driven by the role that I'm in as a shoutcaster. I've always said to everyone that I work with, you know, in the weirdest way, we are friends and competitors in the same stroke. You know, you want your friends to do well, but you're also all competing over the same jobs at the same time. And that can be quite stressful when sometimes you feel like, you know, oh, they're my friend and I don't want to kind of, you know, really kind of go and try and beat them to this job. But the stance has always kind of been at the end of the day, your friends aren't going to pay your rent for you. So that's probably the biggest stress and, you know, mental health kind of impact that you have, I think, in esports as a shoutcaster at least. Gaming has definitely not done my sleeping pattern or eating habits any favors. I think a lot of that comes down to admittedly being quite lazy. That comes from, you know, the desire to sit down, just want to chill out, to play games with your friends, for example. So you have less time to go out and exercise, to cook decent meals, for example. So it has all kind of built up over the years. I think I'm a lot more aware of it now. I'm nearly 30. I am turning 30 in about 8 months' time. And now it's kind of more the realization of, okay, even getting out for a walk half an hour a day, whether it's finding vitamins to take as well as looking to try and cook more, of course, as well, things like that. It does kind of become another block in your life where you're trying to find time for it, along with seeing family, making food, self-development for working reasons, for example. Just so many things kind of build into it that those things do start to fall by the wayside. So, yeah. I've been asked the question a few times around community sentiment. So I worked for 3.5 years in League of Legends. I did 1 year in Overwatch and then now 3 years in Siege. It's been 3 years? Yeah, 3 years so far. And I'd probably say the most warm one that was kind of very aware, considerate, welcoming was probably Overwatch, to be honest with you. The community in that game in general was just very, very feel good. There wasn't really much toxicity, for example. Whereas I think with League of Legends, because of the size of the game itself, you tend to find in the community a lot of people then gravitate towards it that aren't so healthy for it. And maybe to a level that's also true in Siege, I think. When people from outside of the game ask me, you know, what's the community like? I do say, quite honestly, you know, there's a real mix. You do get some that are very, very encouraging, and maybe it's kind of a sign of the times, but especially when it comes to like LGBT stuff, you get a lot of support for that inside the scene. Not from everyone, of course. You get a lot of toxic idiots on Twitter, for example, or in game, but you do find a lot of very strong support for it too. I think a lot of that comes from the fact that a lot of the player base kind of migrated over from console. Like if you're jumping from playing on Xbox or PlayStation to playing a FPS shooter on PC, chances are it's going to be CSGO, which has its own issues, the same as Siege, or you're going to come over to Siege. And that with it carries a lot of the whole mentality of, oh, you wouldn't have survived in a Modern Warfare 2 lobby or whatever. And it's just little silly things like that. I think that still kind of carries a lot into the game. So looking back over it, Overwatch, I think, was definitely the kind of more niche but positive community. And then Siege is kind of sat there, probably, if I'm honest, slightly below League of Legends in terms of like community sentiment within the game itself. I think gaming overall has been huge when it comes to social connections, whether it's with personal friends that, you know, I've known for years now. A couple of them I don't really get a chance to see. They've got kids, I've got work, I work away in Paris, for example. So in one way, esports itself kind of takes away from that social time. But on the other hand, with gaming itself kind of gives back to it, right? So those that I don't see often will jump in and play Halo for 2 or 3 hours some nights, or will hop in and play Minecraft or something casual like that. And just being able to have that kind of more social time where you're doing something fun together really helps kind of build that friendship up, I think. I'm still needing to play through the Halo 5 campaign with one of my friends, so that's kind of on the way too. But it does really help in that sense to keep those sort of social dynamics alive with friends. However, I also think there's a world where you still have to go and see them in person, right? You need to actually go for food together, spend actual physical time together in person to really kind of build it to the next level as well.